Okay, guys, we may as well start right to the point. The message tonight is the wrong way, okay? And can anybody tell me what was going on in that video? What was that player doing? He was scoring a touchdown for the other team. He was running the wrong way. And there's some things I want you to pay attention to. First of all, he was very motivated, wasn't he?
Yes.
I mean, he was going for it, right? And number two, he was very capable. He knew what he was doing. He got to the wrong goal, right? And number three, he had a lot of people cheering for him. You can hear the crowd going, woo, you know. Those of us who are like me who would have no idea he was going the wrong way, we're cheering for him, right?
Yes.
And however, if you notice, he didn't have much opposition. They didn't actually try to stop him until he started to do what? Go back the right way, okay? Because the other side had nothing to lose as long as he was running in their direction, right? Sometimes our lives can be like that. We're running the wrong way. So we start we're facing no opposition. Nothing gets in our way. We're just kind of going along. We don't really start facing opposition until something happens in our lives that starts to make us question which direction we're going. And that's when we start to feel a little pain. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. First of all, how do we avoid going the wrong way?
Not going the right way.
Oh, yeah. We have to know two things in order to go the right way. We've got to know the cost, and we've got to know the goal. Okay, and I'm going to explain it further. If you're a football player, what's the cost? The fumble, or in this case, scoring for the wrong team, right? You're looking for that opportunity not to lose the ball, okay? What's the goal? What's the goal in football? A touchdown. It's all about the touchdown, right? When does the crowd go crazy?
You score.
When your team makes a touchdown, right? That's how you get the score. That's how you get the points. If you're a baseball player, what's the cost? We've all heard it. 3 strikes, you're out, right? You get those 3 strikes, you're out, okay? That's the cost. What's the goal? The home run. That's when the crowd starts to cheer. That's when your team loves you. That's when your town loves you. That's when you get all the perks, right? That's the goal. What about if you're a Christian? Let's go to John chapter 14, 2 and 3. John chapter 14, 2 and 3. Everybody, please go there. And Brother Eugene, it proves that God is in the middle of what we're doing because you are all over my stuff today with what you are doing. Y'all ready? My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going there to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you may also be where I am. Okay, can anybody tell me what the cost is for a Christian? What is it we're trying to avoid? What's the wrong direction? What is every Christian trying to avoid? What is it? What is it? I want everybody to say it. What is it? Hell, because we've been really taught that it isn't even real. People act like it's a pretend thing. Hollywood makes all these movies about it, and Hellraiser, and puts all these other names on it, makes up monsters, and and it makes it seem like it's not a real thing. But guess what? The Bible tells us clear as day that hell is a place that people are going to who go the wrong way. It's like fumbling the ball. It's like getting a point for the other team. It's like 3 strikes, you're out. It's like going to prison. Hell is real. And it's what the wrong way is for a Christian. So is anybody in this room a Christian?
Yes.
Does anybody in this room call yourself a Christian? Raise your hand if you call yourself a Christian. Okay. Then every one of us who calls ourselves a Christian, the wrong way for us is to head toward hell. Okay. What's the goal? Say it again.
That was Tammy, not me.
Oh.
Make heaven or
Sorry, you guys kind of sound alike. Heaven. Heaven. And heaven is also real. Hollywood has kind of told us a bunch of stuff about heaven, like you got angels coming down from heaven and marrying somebody, or whatever, dogs going to heaven, and I don't know what all. And it makes it seem like it's not real. But guess what, guys? It's real. It's as real as that guy running toward the wrong goal. If we are headed away from God, we're headed toward hell. And if we're headed toward God, we're headed toward heaven. And these are 2 very real places. What makes them seem unreal is this. Our body here on earth isn't going to either one of them. Our soul is. And our soul is so intangible. We can't conceive it. But our soul is going to one or the other. Now, if you wanted to go to hell, pick up your hand right now. If you would like your soul to spend all of eternity in hell, raise your hand. Nobody? We don't really go there on purpose, do we? That guy didn't run the wrong direction on purpose, did he? As a matter of fact, do you think he might have been just embarrassed enough that he never made that mistake again? Yeah. So can you imagine how his teammates treated him after? The way they made fun of him after? So we don't go to hell on purpose. So in order to avoid going the wrong way, the first thing we've got to know is the cost, which is hell, which is real, and the goal, which is heaven, which is also real. And we live in a society today that has kind of mucked that up and made it seem like it's not. But it is, and we've got to remember it. You got it, Thomas? We've got to remember it. It is real. Now, second, and also very important, where to reach the goal. What did that guy get messed up? Our football player. Look at this guy. Think about this guy. He had spent months, years training.
Right.
He took care of what he ate. I mean, you know, they make him walk around with that ball and they have to make sure they never let it go and what have you, right? And they're doing all kinds of exercises and jumping over these little, I don't know what this stuff means, guys, but you know, these different kind of obstacles. And the whole time, what are they holding? That ball, okay? So he put in all the blood, sweat, and tears. So he would know he was trained, he was prepared. Does that sound like anybody you know? We put in the blood, sweat, and tears, right? When all the people we know are out there having a good old time, what are we doing? It's the end of the weekend right now, Sunday night, and most everybody out there is already planning for Monday, and they're getting their kids showered and ready for bed and what have you. They're taking advantage of the last few minutes of the weekend, maybe out with their friends at Applebee's or Ruby Tuesdays, having the last 2 margaritas and their last thing of nachos before they have to get up at 5:30 in the morning and go back to work. Where are we? We're stuck at church. We're stuck at church because we're preparing, we're training for the very real goal of heaven. Okay? So here's what this guy had done. He'd done all of the training and the exercise. But when it really counted, where did he go? The wrong way. The wrong way. Not on purpose, but because he didn't know. So, let's make sure we know, guys. Let's make sure we know how to get to heaven. What direction that is. Matthew 7:21, everybody. Matthew 7:21. And this is basically what I just said. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord. In other words, not everyone who calls themselves a Christian. Not everyone who said, I profess Jesus Christ as my Savior. Not everyone who attended church on Sunday nights. Not everyone who shook the pastor's hand. Not everyone who thought they were a good person. Not everyone who grew up apostolic, doing all the right things. Not everyone. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. But then he tells you the answer. That's what's so cool about God. He's not mean. He's not bad. He doesn't want to hurt you. He's saying, look, watch out. You can fool yourself, Whitney, into thinking you've got it when you don't. But I'm going to tell you how not to go the wrong way. And he doesn't make you suffer for it. You don't have to walk on coals, hot coals. He tells you right there in the exact same sentence. But he who does the will of my Father in heaven. That's it. But he who does the will of my Father in heaven. So then the question becomes, what's his will? Right? What's his will?
Yes.
So Colossians 3:1-7. Colossians 3:1-7. In case you guys haven't figured it out, when Pastor gets up here, he preaches. It's amazing, phenomenal. I mean, I get really nourished and encouraged, and I'm ready to go another week. When I get up here, we're going to be in the Word. Because guess what? The Word is our instruction manual to heaven. And the sad thing about it is, very few people bother to read it.
That's right.
That's the God honest truth. It is the most popular book in the entire world. But I bet you it is also one of the least read. Truly read. People have it sitting in their car. They have it sitting in their house. But how many are really reading it?
Wow.
So, we're going to be in it, okay? Colossians 3:1-7. Since then, you have been raised with Christ. Set your hearts on things above, where Christ is seated at the right hand of God. What's the first thing he's saying? Keep your eyes on heaven. You want to not go the wrong direction? Keep your eyes on heaven. You know that guy that they were training, that football player? They should have told him from the get-go, this is your goal right here. This side, not that side. Keep your eyes on this side. Okay? And that's what he's saying to us right now. Keep your eyes on heaven. Okay? Set your minds on things above. Keep thinking on things in heaven, not on the things down here on earth. Okay? Then the third thing he says is, for you died and your life is now hidden in Christ, with Christ in God. Jesus is the one who's going to help you do this. Because, we're human and this kind of stuff is hard for us. When Christ, who is your life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. If you let Jesus Christ help you, Eugene, he'll help you get to heaven. Okay? He's given us very specific instructions. Put to death, therefore, whatever belongs to your earthly nature. In case you don't know what that means, sexual immorality. We all know what that is, right? Okay. Impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, and idolatry. Because of these, the wrath of God is coming. So what's he saying? People who go the wrong way, who go in the direction of hell, go because of these reasons. And he's explained the reasons to you. Sexual immorality, impurity, lust, evil desires, greed, and idolatry. Okay? If we're involved in all this junk, it's going to pull us away from heaven. That's simple. You used to walk in these ways in the life you once lived. Guess what, guys? There are no saints in this room. I am not a saint. I did all of those things he mentioned right there for most of my life. Pastor did all of those things he mentioned right there for most of his life. We all did, if we're honest. Some of us still do. Okay? So, second slide, please. It's real simple. So I've simplified it for us because, we like fast, quick, and easy, okay? We're the McDonald's generation, okay? Right way directions. Head toward heaven. Do the will of God. You got to find out what that is in order to do it. And guess where you find out what that is?
The Bible.
By reading the book that everybody owns and nobody reads. Okay? Listen, guys. If you're not reading this book, you don't know the direction. You just don't. None of us do. We don't know. People tell my husband and tell me, wow, your wife is like full of knowledge of God. No, I'm full of this. I read this thing over and over and over. You know how? My daughter can tell you because when I met her, I taught her this one little thing that really helped her in school. I'm a terrible mom, but this one thing I did teach her. Read. Read. Read, read, read. I am an avid reader. Not just of this, but just about anything I can get my hands on. But this is how I discipline myself, guys. Before I will allow myself to read the book I want to read. See, I want to read every single day, Thomas. I'm in the middle of a murder mystery right now that I would just about give my eyes to be able to know who did it. Okay? But before I allow myself to read, I say, you cannot read your murder mystery until you read 3 chapters of this. Before I allow myself to watch my favorite detective show, you can't watch that show until you read 3 chapters of this. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't used to be 3 chapters. It used to be, before you watch your favorite detective show, read 3 verses. Okay, and then 3 verses became 10 verses, and 10 verses became a chapter, and 1 chapter became 2 chapters, and 2 chapters became 3. Okay? So do the will of God. That's the first thing. Number 2, focus on heaven, not earthly things. In other words, yes, I want to gossip with all the girls in the break room, but I'm focused on heaven. Yes, I want to skip Friday night church and Sunday night church, and I want to spend the time playing games, or in my case, reading books. But I'm focused on heaven. I can read Saturday. Friday night, I need to be in church. Doing what? What do we do on Friday nights? Read this book. Okay? Yes, I want to spend Sunday being lazy and doing nothing. That's my idea of a perfect Sunday. Okay? But only until 4 p.m. Because then it's time to come focus on heaven. Okay? Deny the flesh. Let me just tell you something. If my flesh controlled me right now, I'm going to be very candid with you people. I have told you guys before that I honestly believe I don't understand why God has me here. I don't even know why He allowed me to be a Christian, much less why He's allowed me to be a pastor's wife. I've told you guys over and over again that I am not a good person. I was a horrendous stepmom, as my kids can testify to you. I was. And I was a horrendous wife. I think about the only thing I didn't do wrong as a wife was cheat on my husband. Other than that, if you can mess up at it, I messed up at it. Okay? That's who I am. But a few years ago, I decided to change my life. And all of the things that my husband had been preaching and teaching to me, I actually started to listen to them. And I decided, I don't like who I am. I don't like who I am at all. And I want to be a different kind of person. But I knew what I was guilty of in the past. I knew it. And I would spend hours at the altar confessing the same sins over and over and over again. Real sins. Real sins, guys. And the Lord, through this book, led me to some scriptures. You're probably going to know them. Where the parable is about the men who came to work late in the afternoon, and they received the same wages as the men who showed up in the early morning. And the men who showed up in the early morning said, "Why are you giving these guys who only worked for a couple of hours the same reward that you gave us when we worked the entire day?" And the Lord said to me, "You're one of those men. You're one of those men who showed up for work only for 2 hours. You've come to know me and to focus on the things in heaven and doing the will of God late in life. Unlike those who have done it their whole lives. But you still get the same reward. You still get the same reward." And this is the other thing that He showed me. The other people, on the other hand, the ones who had been there from the very beginning, if they allow themselves to stop doing the will of God, to lose their focus on heaven, if they stop denying their flesh, they could lose the wages that I actually gained at the third hour. At the third quarter of my life, I inherited glory. And kids, people who grew up in the church, who have been Christians their entire life, if they stop doing the will of God, if they stop focusing on heaven, if they stop denying their flesh, could lose what I'm gaining. I don't want that. I don't like that. I can't handle that. I don't want there to be less of us. I want there to be more of us.